Hi beautiful souls, welcome back to the channel. Beautiful Awakening with Shantia. Welcome to another pick a card reading with me. So in today's reading, we're going to be looking into July. So this is your July monthly reading. We'll be seeing whatever energies are coming through. So for this reading, we're going with the theme of Alchemy 101. Welcome to school, welcome to learning. So whenever I choose themes, it's just intuitive. And this is what wanted to come through for the theme. So I'm very curious to know why. Well, I guess I kind of know. I already meditated off of the screen for each of the groups to get the energies. And that was essentially how I was inspired by what wanted to come through. And the theme that I was hearing from Source was teaching. So they were putting an emphasis on teaching. I know this is what I do in all of my videos. I'm a moon in Sagittarius, so this is something I absolutely love. But beyond that, they wanted to put an emphasis on you learning, focusing on your learning and focusing on what you can do, whether it's repetition, being consistent with something, learning how to absorb something better. Because I talk about these concepts and Source is really putting an emphasis, especially with this Jupiter in Ardra transit that's happening through August. This is a really great time as Jupiter is transiting through Gemini for us to learn and to embrace these concepts here and to really understand what's coming through as opposed to it feeling really abstract. So this is the time where the information isn't as abstract, it's more direct and it's coming through more clearly. What inspired this theme was I attended a art gallery. I visited an art gallery and I witnessed a really fun and unique exhibit that inspired this, and it was by an artist. I'm gonna put her name up here. I think it's Tana Mandi. But there's an exhibit that's happening at the Henry Art Gallery if you guys are interested in that. And yeah, that's what inspired me. She did a series of chalkboard paintings that were done very well, might I add. It was oil on linen. And I didn't take any pictures of any of her work. It was just sort of solidified into my brain, the concepts. And she talked a lot about very Jupiter and Ardra themes, which was learning how certain concepts we remember, we change. And if you think about a chalkboard, your teacher would write things on it and then they would erase it. And that's exactly how our mind works too. We go over concepts and ideas and then we forget about them. We replace them with new ones, we advance them, we expand on them. You know, the learning process is so fascinating and Source is really encouraging us to embrace that during this time of July. And I think this is a time where Source is saying that this is a time for us to really absorb it, to soak it up, and to move through with confidence with what we know. So I'm really excited to see what wants to come through. I chose some crystals for each of the groups, and I always have fun with these monthly readings. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out on my Soul Awakening channel. I uploaded the Divine Anarchy video talking about Jupiter in Ardra, Jupiter in Gemini transit that's happening up until August. You can check that out. Some of it's just me nerding over astrology, which I love. I also did a Rahu in Aquarius K2 in Leo transit that I talked about, and it's really interesting to see how some events have been unfolding in the United States and everything that's just been going on that's relating to these themes. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more to come up to unfold. A lot of fast changing energy in the news, in ourselves, in our own lives. That's just, the pace is for sure quickening. All right, let's go ahead and move forward into introducing the groups. Okay, so I almost forgot. I wanted to do a little bit of ASMR for you guys, just for a couple seconds. So I'm drinking some black tea. I think the word is Cellular. I don't even know how to say it correctly, but this is some fancy black tea I got from a friend of mine's here. So for each of the groups, I decided to choose medical themes or medical terminology for each of them. So for group number 1, we have cellular respiration. For group number 2, I may be pronouncing this wrong, but you have Striae Myogenesis. And for group number 3, we have Labyrinth. Let's go ahead and start our meditation. Here's the singing bow. All right, group number 1, if you chose Cellular Respiration, we're going to go ahead and start with you. Hi, group number 1, welcome to your reading. So you guys chose Cellular Respiration. Cellular Respiration. Okay. So just looking at this oracle card design here, so we have the fish, and it looks like the fish is blowing out some bubbles or soaking up the bubbles. Next to him, above him, we have the oxygen symbol from the periodic table. And then below that, we have a set of lungs with a hand grabbing a part of it. I want to say it's like the bronchi, but I'm not 1,000% sure on my terminologies here. All right, so class is in session. Welcome to Alchemy 101. I got my pencil here, my notebook full of notes for you guys for each of the groups. Okay, so the main theme, I also forgot to mention this, but the main theme that's coming through for July is rhythm, right? There's sort of a rhythm or an energy. When I was meditating for this group, one of the first things I was seeing was breathing. And I think I was actually seeing a fish breathing. So if you've ever seen fishes breathe, they look so fragile and precious, right? And you just kind of see their bodies inhaling and exhaling. So just like us humans, fishes need oxygen to survive, and they use a very similar system as cellular respiration as humans do, where they actually absorb the water, and their body's able to convert it into oxygen because they have somewhat of like a really thick filter that takes in a lot of oxygen and it puts it into the bloodstream. And then they also exhale carbon dioxide. So the grand theme coming through for you, group number 1, is this rinse and repeat motion of inhaling and exhaling. And I remember I wrote a song, I think it might have been 2021. Yeah, I wrote a song called Winter is Over. And one of the lines I wrote was, inhale wisdom, exhale freedom. But it could also be, the inhale and exhale can be reinterpreted as inhale wisdom or the goodness of life, and exhale the past and the old fears and the worries that no longer suit you. So you're inhaling what universe wants to offer to you, and you're exhaling what you no longer need. This is what's important, and this is something you do naturally. So you're in a regenerative healing process. This is how healing happens, and we have to rinse and repeat. We have to do this consciously in order for us to heal the trauma. And during Jupiter and Ardra, this is a really good time for us to heal trauma. And it's really interesting how we got a reference to air, because we have Ardra, which is in Gemini. So there's something about that initial phase of learning how to breathe again. So you're in this process, in this phase right now for July, where Source is really calling for you to focus on just the simplified motions of breathing. Remember how to breathe again. Remember how, because we take it for granted, but they want you to be very intentional about this. And maybe even practice, you can create some breathing rituals for yourself. I often find that I speak really quick and I have to work on my breath, which is funny because I have air in my chart quite a bit. And that is something I have to work on because I can be fast-winded and I can forget to take those inhales and exhales. But I've never had put that stress onto me to try to breathe perfectly. But what's interesting is, how kids don't have any worries? They breathe so well. They go to sleep peacefully, not worried about anything in life, because they're not worrying. So I think that's part of the bigger message is you can go to sleep resting peacefully because you're no longer worried about these things, right? The trauma really is just regurgitated memories that we're experiencing on repeat. And Source is saying you no longer have to hold on to these memories. You can let them go, you can let it go, and you can move on and move forward. The other thing I was seeing someone grab something or a wrapping around of some sort. So if you just think of tape and wrapping it around your finger, this makes me think of layers. So I think you're in a process right now, group number 1, where you're building more and more layers, and these layers are creating protection for you. So I've mentioned this many times before, but I never get tired of talking about it because it's important for people to understand that we are divinely protected, but divine protection is also a co-creative experience. So this is something that you have to co-create with Source. That's why some people seem like they're not divinely protected, because it's a conscious choice with divinity. They can only help us when we make a conscious choice to welcome that. And that's why, faith, belief in Source is important, because if you don't believe in it, you just don't have you don't have access to as many resources. So you want to open yourself up to the possibilities here. So you're creating protective layers. Continue to stay calm, be still, and encourage yourself. Really work on trying not to be reactive. And that's hard sometimes, when we're in tough situations. So something I noticed with my nephew, maybe because he's young, but also he has strong fire in his chart, is when I'm reactive, he mirrors me. When I'm not reactive, he mirrors me. So I think life is very much like that. It's mirroring reverberations back to us. And so when we are reactive, I feel like there are situations, sorry, I heard something and I was like, is that a truck or a plane? And I'm like, oh, it's a plane. But when we're reactive to certain situations, it actually does create a ripple effect. And so we're creating our own universe depending on how we're responding and we're reacting. So Source is trying to tell you, respond, don't react. Don't be reactive, because that energy it finds a way to mirror itself back to you. So what I try to do, if I'm frustrated, is I just try to keep it in my head before I say anything or I do anything. And I find that when I just stay calm, everything's fine. If I react, something happens. Whether it's a delayed response or whatever, usually there's something that happens, even if it's just subtle. Something kind of happens that reverberates the energy. So be aware of that. So the breathing energy is an open and close. This is an expansion and a contraction. And the expansion and contraction is you. We have to go through it. What are we expanding? We're expanding into that beautiful, healthy oxygen, that breath of relief, that freedom, that connection to Source, trust, healing. And when we're contracting, we're actually just exhaling whatever we don't need. Whatever we don't need. Fear, drama, reactivity. That's what we're exhaling. Okay. I also got a reference to a moth. So if you look at the lungs, they kind of look like moth wings, perhaps. I should have added a moth, but I actually kind of forgot. I think because there was enough things going on. I didn't want it to be an excess of drawings, which, by the way, I put together. Well, it was a combination of AI and a combination of illustrations I used using the app here. But a moth is basically a light worker. They're drawn to the light, even in the dark. So you may be in the space right now in life where you're being called to in the month of July is continue to move through, trusting, even if you can't see it, you can't see quite what you're wanting to experience, move towards the light. And we all navigate energy that way. That's why this matrix is so deceptive, because we think, when people are polite and they look a certain way, that, these are the people that we should trust. But no, you got to really listen to your heart, your gut, and your intuition to see whether people are trustworthy, and that will let you know, right? I always just get subtle feelings about people. It's not like dramatic. It's just more like, oh, you know, I kind of get a trusting feeling around this person. And sometimes you just have that inclination, okay, I'm not going to share this piece of knowledge with this person. Like, I'm not going to tell them about my whole life story. And I also believe that relationships take time to build. So I find that the people who I'm the most open with, you know, it's happened over, you know, years. We've been building that partnership of trust and that bond between us. Okay, so cells need O2, oxygen, to create energy through cellular respiration. And to me, the cellular respiration is this energy of coming alive. So during this period, you're going to be asked to come alive. Sources telling you you're going to feel like you're coming alive. Maybe even this month will be like a breath of fresh air where it feels more peaceful. You feel more studious. It feels more clear about what it is that you're working on. You're going to feel more routine as well. So any kind of exhaling you do, you're exhaling the waste that you don't need. And you're getting into this energy of feeling more refreshed. So I think July is going to feel like a much more refreshing, peaceful month for you. Perhaps. We're going to see what else wants to come through. Okay, so let's move forward to your crystal reading here. So you guys got malachite. Really exciting. Let me just go ahead and scry with it and see if I can pick up anything. Yeah, no, interesting. I always feel like I see Buddha here at the center, and this thing in the middle is really capturing my attention, and it actually looks like a baby inside here. And I think that's your true self. So just imagine like Buddha is this like old man who's like wise, and then there's the baby, and that's you. You know, you're budding into this little Buddha. You are Baby Yoda in training right now. This is being acknowledged. And the baby is moving in there. It is alive. It is active. So continue to do this work on yourself. And, you know, soon this baby will at some point be born. But I see a baby inside someone. So I think you're still learning you're still healing within the womb right now. The baby is still being created within the womb, and the baby really is just your true self being born. It's getting ready to be born. Okay. I don't know. I'm seeing a creature here. Okay. I'm getting cat vibes. Looks like a cat. So that might be your advice, is to be like a cat, just unbothered, calm, relaxed, observant. And the cat's needs is always met. The cat doesn't worry about whether it's going to get fed or not. This cat is just sitting very quietly observing. So that'll be important. Yeah, malachite, this is an intuitive psychic crystal. So like I said, you guys are Baby Yoda in training. You're learning how to use the force. You're learning how to birth your force, and you birth a healthier version of your life force. And that breath of fresh air, that cellular respiration, also takes us to prana or Shakti. But prana is like the breath of life. And the breath of life is just, you know, that energy, that life force energy within you that's here to come alive, and be used in healthy ways. So this is beautiful. This feels very healing, very positive. It feels like you're in a place where you're learning how to responsibly use and redirect your energy for positive or just for good things in the right way, like in the way that is helpful to you, so you're not feeling exhausted. And I feel like in this month, your energy is going to feel balanced, mellowed out. Okay, let's go ahead and pull some cards for you guys to see what else wants to come through. Oh, y'all got an Ace of Cups on the first pull. Talk about a breath of fresh air. You guys got an Ace of Cups. Look at that overflow. Oh my goodness, that's beautiful. You know, I'm definitely hearing an applause somewhere in the background where sources saying they're so proud of you for learning how to redirect your life force energy. So yeah, this month is going to feel like a breath of fresh air. Delightful, peaceful, fun, very heart-centered, heart chakra overflow. here. Okay. Let's see what else wants to come through. I don't know. There's so much power coming through this one card here. The way that that hand is holding that, it just feels like someone saying, wow, I didn't know that life could be this beautiful or this exciting, or this is like so overwhelmingly positive. I want to cry kind of thing. It's like someone thought they were going to get something. They're like, oh, you know, this looks good. And then all of a sudden this water just comes exploding out of it. And they're just like, whoa, where is that coming from? And I'm hearing that you're doing this. You know, you're a part of this. You called to be a part of this regenerative process that you've been putting in the work in, and understand that everything that you get in life is earned through a co-creative experience and a partnership with you and divinity. So be proud. Like, all the good things that get to show up in your life are due to work that you put in. Let's see what other cards want to come through, because that just looks like a young girl or a young woman's hand with a rubber band. It's just reminding me of like a young woman, and she's just like, whoa, I don't know, it just feels like youth, and then joy. Yeah, we have your Queen of Wands. Awesome. So you guys have been really working on your confidence, group number one. And that's really cool. You guys got the Ace of Wands, number one. We got Queen of Wands, who likes to be, you know, the Queen of Wands likes to be number one, right? That's main character energy coming through. And this Queen of Wands depiction is always, it's quite interesting. Every time I look at it, oh, she has rubber bands on her hand. Look at that. But every time I look at this, I'm like, what is she doing? She has the weirdest look on her face. Campfire with lots of candles around it, lizards, and she's with her friend. Yeah, and maybe that speaks to like a social, it's gonna be a bit of a social month for you, you know, where you're feeling connected to other people. And what I always like about the Queen of Wands is she's really good at being herself. So this is gonna be a really exciting time for this month, for you to just embrace being yourself, having fun, enjoying life, embracing all that life has to offer. Yeah, that's a powerful first pull for those just first two cards. Beautiful. So just keep working on your confidence, group number one. We got here, Wise One. What did I say? Little Yoda in training here. We got Wise One. Okay. Grow within your current situation. So this is what Source is saying you're doing so well. And this is the advice too, is whatever situation you're in, don't run away from it. Don't run away from it. However challenging it might be, don't run away from it. I think this is a month where you're really recognizing all the work that you've been putting into yourself and being proud of yourself. Like, I have a feeling that you've been in a situation that you couldn't get out of, even if you tried, and you're just trying to find a way to manage it to the best of your abilities. And this has been, you know, unfolding for some time for you. And Source is saying, beautiful job. You know, you're doing a wonderful job. And they're prepping you. We got Queen of Wands, Wise One. We have the Buddha. We have the Yoga and Baby Yoda in training. And Yog also just means the universe is really training you guys to be examples. You know, with the Queen of Wands, you're here to be an example to other people, to show them a better way of being. And it looks like by you embracing this for yourself, you're gaining an immense amount of wisdom. So this is like, you know, running those laps, I don't know, a mile high, completing a milestone. That's it. I feel like you guys are at this point right now where you're completing a milestone right now, whether you're aware of it or not. All these shifts that have been happening in your life have been for a reason. So just keep going. You know, life is a continuous journey. And I think this might be a month where people are also looking to you, perhaps, saying, wow, like, what can you teach me? And it's going to feel fun. You know, however you exemplify this or share this experience with others, and share your gifts. You know, Queen of Wands, super creative, creative for days. Like, she just, you know, this energy is super creative, and you're creating from the wisdom that you've grown in. So however you want to express that, definitely do that this month. We have here message in a bottle, number 15. Yeah, so referring back to Jupiter and Ardra, Gemini energy, and that teacher energy coming through, looks like you're receiving this insight from source. And that hand grabbing the lungs, that was like the wraparound energy. This is about embracing and holding on to those experiences that source is calling us towards. You deciding to volunteer and say, yes, I will do the best that I can. Because, for this energy to show up, this shows me that you're consciously embracing whatever obstacles, challenges are showing up, and you're doing a phenomenal job at that. So definitely give yourself more credit where credit is due. So message in the bottle, it looks like Source has more messages that they want to give to you. Some offerings is what I'm hearing, some offerings, some insights, because you're already doing such a great job. And they have some more, they want to advance you to the next higher level math of Alchemy 101 here. And they have some more beautiful messages that this is going to be such a fun month for you to learn. Yeah, so much about yourself. Definitely feeling that. Yeah, and I'm still getting this like spacious energy here, even with this message in a bottle. It feels like a lot of those messages or insights are going to be coming through so clearly this month. It is also, if you follow along with Vedic Astrology, this is Gemini season. So Gemini energy is going to be powerful. We got Mercury there, Sun's going to be going there. Or, no, Sun is there. Yes, it is. I'm looking at the date. Yeah, it entered there on the 21st, or around there. So Sun is there, or it's conjunct Ardra. So all of those energies are there supporting each other. So we hear gossip and victim. So this is the main lesson that you've been learning during this time it's the thoughts, right? Our mind is all about gossip. Everything, poor communication is gossip, news, propaganda, whatever people are putting on the internet. It's just a bunch of gossip. People just talking about all these things. And sometimes the thing is, if you like gossip, if you really like when people gossip about each other, that actually is a reflection of yourself, and what you're needing to work on if you like it, versus are you just wanting to know and learn? There's a difference, right? It's like wanting to know information because you're curious, or wanting to vilify someone or weaponize information, which is what a lot of people do. They get the information, and as soon as they get it, they just want to weaponize that. And that's very immature use of Gemini energy. It's like, oh, I'm just going to take this information and do whatever I want with it, versus filtering and deciding, okay, do I share this or do I not? Because our words have power, and our words most definitely have the most power over us. They have the most power over our own psyche here with this victim card. So our words can victimize us. And, I'm speaking all positive now because I love teaching, but this has been very hard for me to learn, because I know I'm doing it to myself. I'm like, nobody else is doing it to me. No one else can get in my head and be like, da-da-da-da. No, I definitely have moments where I just feel sorry for myself and I perpetuate it. And it doesn't last as long as it used to. You know how you watch something later as an adult that you watch as a kid and it's just not as fun or as interesting as it used to be? Some things. That's what it is to me. Those negative stories I hear in my head, they're not as entertaining or interesting or convincing or persuasive as they used to be. Before, they used to have such a hold on me. Now I know I'm doing it to myself, and I'm like, okay, let's stop. Let's end this. So you're doing a lot of the psychological undercurrent work here with yourself, where you're working through those karmic loops, that victim mindset that keeps you trapped here in this mindset and feeling sorry for yourself. So it says here, light attributes, gossip awakens consideration for the feelings of others. So that's where you become considerate, and you're like, do I really want to spread these lies or spread these lies within myself? It says here, honoring trust. So yeah, that takes me to, that's weird. I was talking about friendship, wasn't I? And trusting? Yeah, that was weird. How I was saying, like, it takes time to build that support system and that bond with people. And, that goes for you too. It takes time to build that trust with yourself. So sometimes we think, oh, just because you're with yourself all the time that you know yourself well, and that's the thing that humans get wrong. No, no, no. That's why it takes everything. It takes everything to do this work. You know, people think spirituality or being a mystic is like woo woo. I'm like, no, that's the only job we have in life, is to be responsible for ourselves, to work on our own psychology. Everything else is a distraction. Our first, number one, most important job is to manage this instrument. And the most difficult part of this instrument is the lies, the words, the inner communication that's happening within us that's causing issues. So it says here, shadow attributes thrives on the power of passing on private or secret information, betraying confidences. Yeah, that's weird. Source is definitely hearing me. I'm, we're connected, we're vibing right now. But yeah, like gossip is just not, it's not cool. It's not cute. It's not cool. It's not cute for us. It's not cool and cute for us to gossip about ourselves. So I often find that when people are hard on others, they're often the hardest on themselves. I know it. So I know psychologically they are wrecking havoc in their own mind. If they're wrecking havoc towards me or towards everyone else, I know they're wrecking havoc towards themselves for sure. So if you're a victim, prevents you from letting yourself be victimized or victimizing others. Shadow attribute is playing the victim for positive feedback in the form of pity, inability to maintain personal boundaries. Yeah, so being a victim means that you're lacking in your boundaries. And what I've described before on the channel is that in order for you to create boundaries, you basically rise into higher states of consciousness. That's the only way for you to create the so-called, boundaries, is you're like a bird in this peaceful air. So find a way to sustain yourself in that high altitude for as long as you can before you drop. And we fluctuate as humans, we always do. But find a way to get yourself there. And you don't get there through escapism. That doesn't work. You actually have to live through all life experiences as this wise one is teaching you. You can't escape trauma. You got to live through it. And this I think I figured this out maybe a little sooner than most people figured it out. But I realized, I had daddy and mommy issues. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to take this issue and like continue this dysfunction with someone else. I'm gonna like keep my mommy and daddy issues with my mommy and daddy, and I'm gonna work on it there. And boy, have I, like in my years, I'm like, oh, I never thought I would be in a dynamic or situation. I always thought I would just be like off somewhere else living my own life. But life told me, no, sit here, deal with it, live through it. And move through it and heal through it. And it has gotten easier. You learn how to filter. You learn how to filter better. And you learn how to not change people, not try to fix the situation. You learn that you don't have to fix yourself even. You realize the important thing is just actually to just live through it, and you will get through it. And you'll find that you can handle it fine. So yeah, it's sometimes frustrating because all the movies and everything else just taught you go live a nice, perfect life somewhere else and move on. But that has not been the case for my life. I was taught or shown life kept me in this circle where I just kept having to return back to base, back to home, where I had to face those demons, those fears. And it surprisingly made me a nicer, kinder, peaceful person, I guess. I thought it wouldn't. But it was the running away that made it the worse. Okay, let's pull one more card for you guys. We have here closure. Yes, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Don't run away from your problems. Actually create closure. So this is what Saturn and Pisces is teaching us. This is how you close the cycle. You live through it. Don't run away from it. So Saturn and Pisces is forcing people to reckon with that trauma, to reckon with that drama, those fears that you've had since you were a kid. To face it now, because then you won't have to deal with it later. And the only way to face it is you got to live through it. That's karma. You were brought here for a certain purpose and reason, and there's a certain story you have to live through. And unlike other characters, you can't just skip over to a different town. Yeah, so unlike in those movies or those fantasies where people just skip town and they went somewhere else to create their fantasy life, that's actually not how karma works. You have to live through it, every little bit of every painful part, and it's not going to kill you because you're divinely protected. Okay, let's go ahead and close out your reading, group number 1. So for July, so you're working on closure. You know, I'm not going to say that this is a time where the door is officially closing. I think you're just coming to terms with like a milestone. You're coming to terms with some sort of chapter of trauma that you're learning how to embrace overcoming. That's what Jupiter in Arch is here to teach us. How do you transmute it? By the end of this transit, you have the opportunity to tune into your creative force. Here, you can actually transmute that energy, and you're actually going to feel more empowered, more creative, more re-energized. All right, we got Saturn in the first house in Libra. Ah, interesting. So I say that this is interesting because Saturn is actually considered exalted in Libra in the first house because, you know, Saturn is about that restriction and discipline, and it wants to be balanced. It wants that discipline to be balanced. So it's not too harsh, too intense, yet it's not, you know, too finicky to the point where you're lazy and you're reckless, right? So this is like the perfect amount of discipline. So I think this is part of the advice. You have the opportunity to find really good balance with your discipline. So if you're good, you're more disciplined. You have to be disciplined with yourself. So Saturn in the first house, discipline with yourself. And this is what PT teaches all the time, is the importance of being disciplined with thyself first. You know, instead of, you know, people are trying to like have jobs and all this. I'm like, you're not ready to have that. No, none of us are. You have to learn how to eat. You have to learn how to sleep. First, you have to master your instrument. And then when you can attune those basics, then everything else will fall afterwards. You know, it'll be easier to be in relationships because you're more disciplined with yourself. You know, your relationships will be a lot more peaceful because you know how to treat yourself. You know how to not gossip. So really beautiful opportunity for you to just find like a nice balance, a nice discipline balance where you're feeling really consistent with yourself. Yeah, just find a really good routine that works for you. And it's with everything, right? I think we all have this inner scale within us where we're like, okay, too much sugar, let's pull away. I have that kind of thing in me where I'm just like, oh, too much. Let's go ahead and do this to kind of counterbalance, or let's stop, right? Oh, too much. I ate too much, or I'm hitting the stop. I feel full here. I'm going to stop. So this is going to be a really good month for you to master not creating excess. Also going back to the cellular respiration, the breathing, the rhythm, you know, inhaling the wisdom, inhaling peace, and then exhaling worry, exhaling fear, exhaling trauma, letting that go. All right. Yeah, so I think you guys are going to feel productive. You're going to feel rhythmically more balanced this month. Just make sure you apply that to yourself and just stay consistent with your day-to-day basics. That's the end of your reading here, group number 1. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like, subscribe to support. I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, group number 2, welcome to your reading. So you guys chose Striae Myogenesis? I think that's how you say it. Myogenesis. Okay. So the first thing I was getting in your meditation was a seam. So here at the center of your image, I think I had the most fun creating your image after group number 1's image because it just, like, as soon as I saw that zipper, I was like, that needs to be in the image. And then everything else was just so cool to put together. So we have a zipper, and then in between the zipper, we have a muscle man. So it looks like he's holding it open. So this is connected to strength. We have thread. We have needle and thread. We have scissors. And we also have fibers. So I couldn't create the fibers that I wanted to between the zippers, but the zipper is supposed to be a representation of your strength and expansion and muscles. So when we're creating muscles, we got here Striae Myogenesis. We're what do they call it? You're like ripping I don't know if that sounds messed up describing it that way, but you're basically you're stretching like the skin or the tendon or the muscle. You're stretching something and then you're building upon it, and that's what's creating these muscles. So energetically, you're creating muscles through the striae, which is the stretching process, and the myogenesis as well, which is the way in which muscles are created. I Googled some of this stuff. I should have did a little bit more research and took more notes down, but I kind of Googled it really quick, and I apologize for that. But if you're interested in looking into striae or myogenesis, then you can go ahead and do that. I was looking for the medical terminology of stretching, which is the striae, and the myogenesis, which is like the creating the muscles. So the myogenesis is basically the process for which muscles are created. The scientific terms, you can go ahead and Google it if you want to. We're going to use our intuition to describe this. So I was seeing a zipper, a seam, or the fold, and I can't remember what Netflix movie, like they had something called The Fold, and it was like a bad guy or something, and he was like taking over the universe. But in this case, the fold was a good thing, and the fold is what we have in between our armpits, our legs. It's what connects things. So the fold here is stretching, and it's actually stretching to create more of a connection, or these newer connections here. So you're creating new energetic connections within yourself as far as how things work. And that's what you're being called to do in July. Continue to do the work. I'm loving the references to the needle and thread because it's making me, so there's a bit of a reference to Cinderella, which I just watched the other week. I actually don't think I've ever watched the original Cinderella before, but I watched it and it was cute watching the mice sew her dress up. And mice are connected to, I think, kind of luck or, messengers, God's messengers, as well as poverty. So when we're at our rock bottom, God is always helping us knit that sewing dress. Like Source is always helping to do a bit of that needle and thread work. But what was interesting is Cinderella's dress was destroyed by her stepsisters who were jealous of her, and her fairy godmother came in and created a whole nother one. But the fairy godmother, let's just say this is real life, right? To me, the fairy godmother is actually an extension of Cinderella's higher self. So her higher self, let's just say in real life, instead of her hiring her fairy godmother to make her a dress, let's just say she got up and bravely decided to put together this dress, and she just believed in herself, and she didn't know how she was doing it, but she was doing it. And she was like, wow, how am I like just sewing this dress so quickly, so beautifully? Where did I get this knowledge to do this? And that is what is so beautiful about intuition and spirituality, is that our superpowers, our magical powers is we know things. You just have the ability to know and understand things without you having seem like you studied at school for a PhD. That's because you're always absorbing things. We always are. We're always absorbing insight and knowledge around us with our sixth sense all the time. And sometimes you're activating some of your past life gifts here. So I think there's a fusion, a combination of that going on, where you're learning how to use this needle and thread properly. And the needle and the thread is also referenced to the thread of life, which is connected to the fabric of life, right? So that's saying that you're connected to everything. Where are you getting this endless amount of thread to make this beautiful new dress, this beautiful new version of yourself that you're birthing? It's coming from Source. It's coming from that connection, that endless extension and connection you have to Source. So if you learn how to use it, that needle and thread, what can you not do? What's not possible? Anything's possible. That's the whole point of Cinderella. Anything's possible. Your dreams, whatever, it's all possible because you have a needle and thread, and you have an endless thread that never ends. It's connected to the fabric of life, which is endless. So we have the scissors too. Sometimes we have to cut things away, right? The excess thread, certain things we don't need. We need to cut it out. If we want to redo the design, we have to cut some things out. So we always need that scissors. Sometimes the scissors is also symbolic for disappointment when things get cut out of our life and we don't want it to, right? We have Uranus and Kritika. With Kritika is about the scissors right now. Uranus is about radical ideas and change, radical shifts and change in the collective. we are going through a very intense purification process where we are learning how to cut what is not necessary. Individually, we're learning how to cut away collective ideas that no longer serve us. So we all have this Uranus energy. How you use it is dependent on you. You can use it in a benevolent, higher way or a devolving way. The devolving way is to just do what everyone else is doing in the collective and to live a miserable life. The evolving way is to tune into the divine wisdom with that Uranus energy and cut away the false lies that are no longer serving you or your life. You no longer need it. Just making sure that's in focus-ish. Okay, the fold, zipper, you're going through expansion. Expansion is happening. Muscles through strength and grace. The muscles, something about ripping, something rips open and it grows. So part of the advice is dance. Dance, dance, dance. So in Cinderella, it was basically a musical. Cinderella would sing sometimes. She would sing, she would do a little dancing. She would have fun, even though she was a servant to her mother and her sisters, and she previously lived like a heiress in that house, an heiress in that house. Now she was a servant. She was severely downgraded and then severely promoted. Super promoted. She was just experiencing her karma right there. But dance is important. And Source was trying to say dance with it. You know, if you treat this like a dance where you actually know what's going to happen in the end, but you play with it. You play with this divine play. You play that. You understand you're a character. Then it won't be such a painful process. So dance with it instead of being reactive. So that also makes me think, you know how when we tense, we get hurt, right? If we loosen our body, which is what dance does, it helps us to loosen our body, then we feel more at peace. Yeah. So dance is also more graceful. It's more fun. It's not stiff. So adjust your stance, be more bouncy, be more light. That's the advice for this month is be more bouncy, be more light, and you will not feel the pain. See, the pain is actually worse because of our response to it. If we don't respond to it, we use our sense of humor, it doesn't bother us. And you know how sometimes life puts you in situations where you're forced to move? Let's just say someone says, hey, move. Let's say it's a big bully, and like if he pushes you out the way, it's gonna hurt. Well, let's just say he comes, you see him coming, he tells you to move, and you just move. You just move out of the way. You're like, okay, sure, you can have it. I don't care. What's gonna happen is there's no, like the bully has no energy to feed off of with you because you didn't react, you didn't fight, you didn't push against it. So that's also the recommendation for whatever strengthening process you're going through. Maybe it feels like a force that's being pushed against you. Let it push you, because it's actually just pushing you to a higher way of being. It's not going to push you into a negative space. Also, what I've heard is that when bones break, they grow stronger together. I know that's just it's not like actually true for everyone, but there's a reference there. Like whatever is not working out, it's just there's a stronger bond being created. And hopefully in my conscious coupling for Rahu and Aquarius, K2 and Leo part 2 video, I'll mention that. I've been wanting to create that video. So don't let life force you to move, just move out of the way. That's what I'm hearing. Just move out of the way. Don't force it. No force. If you feel a force coming towards you or against you or pushing you, let it push you out of the way. Right? Just like with Cinderella, like her sisters were pushy with her stepmother would tell her do this, do that, and she just went with it. And it actually made her life easier, believe it or not. You know, and to some people they'll be like, "Oh, you're being a pushover." And you have to read your situation. You know, if you know about karma, then you know how it works, right? And so your life is not going to treat you like you're a bottom, whatever. Like maybe at times you're going to go through experiences where you're around people or certain circumstances or situations where you seem like you're at a disadvantage, but in your heart, you know you're evolving, or in your heart, you know you're noble and loyal to Source, and in your heart, you know things are just right. So it depends on your confidence. To me, real confidence doesn't come from, if you can't take it away, it's real confidence. And to me, that's what my journey has been like. When I've allowed myself to just move through and live through the difficult experiences, I've found that I'm much more at peace, and I find that my confidence has actually just grown in myself. So I'm like, something's got to be working, right? If I'm being more confident, but I'm also not pushing against the forces, and I'm just kind of like letting life happen while being assertive in my own healthy way and finding a healthy balance, then something must be working here. Because I often find that when I would complain, it just felt like whining, and it was getting nobody anywhere. When I was being reactive, it was just getting me nowhere. So if I was just like quiet, I let it go, I move on. I've actually found that things worked in my benefit. I actually found that people actually turned around and they wanted to help me. Who would have thought? So in real life, if Cinderella was a real story, right? Her stepmother actually would have started helping her out a little bit more. And she wouldn't even know why. She'd be like, I don't know why I'm starting to want to help you and like do things for you, but I feel like I need to. And that's actually how real karma works. I'm speaking from experience. That's how real karma works. People aren't just going to bully you and you're going to be ran over. That's a false lie, okay? That's the cartoons. Those are the false fairy tales. No, in real life, when you bravely face your fear, people respect it, including the people who are, coming against you. They respect it. They see the boundaries. They see the confidence in your eyes. They see your spirit, the strength of spirit. They know on some level your spirit is very strong. So they actually don't want to mess with you. They actually start backing off a little bit because they're like, I don't think I want to mess with you. So, people say, oh, well, they just felt like they needed to break my spirit. And if you are really strong in yourself, until you stand up for yourself, like you stand strong in your center, people are going to come after you because you actually haven't learned how to root yourself yet. So sometimes people wonder, oh, why are people still coming after me? I'm like, because you probably haven't centered yourself yet. You're still seeking approval or validation. If you don't need approval or validation, people can't hurt you because you don't care. If you just do things in alignment with your truth, after a while, people are just like, damn, I can't get through to you. You literally just will do whatever you want to do, and that's that. And yeah, just stand strong in your truth. Don't let people budge you over spiritually, I'm saying. Like, if someone comes in and they're like, get out of the way, just get out of the way. Okay, don't try to be like, I'm gonna fight. Like, no fighting, just get out of the way. Let them do what they want to do. Let them have their mood swings, scream, yell, whatever. That's what I've learned. Let people do what they want to do. They're just responding the way that they know how. That's their responsibility. You respond in the highest, most honorable, noble way that you can think of. Okay. Sorry about going so long with that, but strong emphasis on dancing with life and feeling the beat, feeling the rhythm. So sometimes you can just sense people's moods. You're like, oh, I'm not going to do this. And you just know. Okay, so let me scry. You guys have the selenite heart here. Let me scry with it and see whatever wants to come through. Okay, so I'm getting a coding. I'm getting like computer, coding, pixel, digital stuff here. Shifting energy. Okay. So I think underneath the surface, you're just going through a beautiful recoding right now. You're in a bit of a glitchy phase in your life because I'm just seeing all of these different patterns and energies right now. They're glitchy and they haven't quite solidified. So that's just something you might want to take note of. Also, on the selenite heart, this pattern that I'm seeing is only covering about a third of it. And so the rest of it is undeveloped. So that just goes to show you are a work in progress. So the month of July is just going to be about you, okay, acknowledging that, okay, you're going through this continuous shift and change in your life, but there's still ways to go, I'm seeing. There's still a ways to go here. Yeah. because I'm seeing like a patch, kind of like in the Striae Myogenesis oracle card design here. There's a patch. That's about how much you've actually developed, but it's glitchy, so it hasn't quite solidified. You think of Jello, right? Jello is liquid until you put it in the fridge, then it starts to solidify a little bit more. So this hasn't quite solidified yet, and that's important. And also, this is a heart, so I think this is something that you're definitely tuning into your heart energy, heart chakra, heart source, and center to help you with. Yeah, so work in progress is a big theme for you, group number 2. Let's go ahead and get more of a feel for your July. So we have here 9 of Wands. And we have your Strength card. Am I psychic or something? Okay. So we have your 9 of Wands and the Strength card. Yeah, so you're definitely building those muscles. And it also takes me to the heart muscles, right? There's so many muscles that are needed to get the heart pumping and going. And you're still learning how to build that. Let's say you're learning how to run and you're like, oh, you get exhausted after like 5 minutes, and then you keep doing it, and then you're like, okay, I can stretch it to like 20 minutes. That's where you're at here, because the 9 of Wands is about climbing the hill. And it's also about exhaustion and that wound, like being wounded, be like, dang, this is a lot of work. And yes, that's life. You're in a place where you're putting a lot of work into yourself right now. So you're just continuously putting in that work. 9 of Wands is still determined. Wands energy is forward movement, forward growth. So this is great. In the image, this woman looks relaxed. So I think, yes, you're going to have days where you're like, I'm putting in this work into myself. But then you're going to need moments to just breathe and that reprieve. And that's important too. Okay, we're not meant to go 24/7. Do what you can. Source gives you a little bit of homework every day to do that strengthens those, that inner neural connection and those muscles. And then make sure you're giving yourself the reprieve and rest. What's interesting in this image, there's also a pentacle, a cup, and I think a wand and a sword here. So that's also showing you're a magician, right? She looks like she's taken the night off. She's typically magician by day. I'm chilling by night. So find that balance in your routine where, you put in your day-to-day work in yourself. You're utilizing all of your tools, okay? So with the needle and thread, use all of your tools. Don't just use one tool to get this going here. Use all of your tools. Also, that zipper makes me think of us opening our heart. So I think you're learning, group number 2, how to open your heart. Maybe you've been in a place in life where you're like, sometimes I just want to this happens and I just want to close my heart. You guys are in a beautiful space where you're learning how to open your heart. That's what that Striae Myogenesis is. Or Genesis. I don't know how to say that correctly. Sorry. I should have looked it up again. But you're learning how to open your heart is what I'm healing. I'm healing. Yes. Healing and hearing. Healing and hearing. You're healing your heart. Yep. And there's mountains in the background here. And you guys might want to go for a run as well. We have poised and all that glitters. Ooh. Okay. So there might be a situation happening when it comes to finances or resources here, and you're learning a powerful lesson. I'm going to do a video on this in the future, but Pluto's in Capricorn, okay? And Pluto is specifically in Uttara Ashada. This is about the invincible one. So we're collectively going through some really intense resource, earthly lessons. Pluto is about transformation. So the universe is putting us through like the most advanced earthly lessons right now. You should be proud to be alive during this time, because this means that you're strong spirit and soul here on earth, and you're here to be a part of birthing that new earth. So all that glitters is not gold. Yeah, definitely not. A lot of the times we think, money is just going to solve our problems, and no, don't. Those people who have all that money, like, they are the most confused people that exist in this world. Like, they are so lost. So clearly there's something off about this, making money, worshiping money, making it the center of your life. And the thing is, it's very tempting. So when you make a lot of money, especially if you make it early on, that's not a good sign. Okay, not a good sign. Some people might say, oh, good karma, da da da. The attachment to money is just not good karma, okay? It creates a lot of problems and heartache for us, okay? You basically have to prostitute yourself, and you end up pretending to do all these things. People are just reading off of scripts to make money. And it always becomes about money. You know, you wonder why people do what they do. Like, oh my God, how could the politicians do this to us? It's about money, okay? It's always about money. These people don't do this because they're like, I just feel so right in them. Like, by the end of the day, it's money, unfortunately. And money takes a hold of everyone. Money is the reason why people try to go to college to get those degrees, useless degrees, and get those useless jobs that are not doing anything for society. It's not helping, healing. Like, we are self-sufficient. We actually know how to thrive. We're inventive. We're creative. Source gives us inventive ideas. Without us going to school and getting a degree, we could figure out how to do anything. So all of that stuff is just like a bag of lies. And you're learning about this. You know, part of it might be like, oh, you know, at times you feel resentful. You're just like, why can't I just get those resources and things just be great? And Source is like, you don't want it, okay? Because all that glitters is not gold. Okay, just because it looks shiny doesn't mean it is. The real gold is wisdom. Okay, this is something you're learning. Big lesson. The real gold is wisdom. The real gold is truth. It is not things. You cannot take your things with you when you die. Okay, so we have here, so Uttara Ashada, which is where Pluto is right now. That is the warrior. That is a warrior nakshatra. That is about harmonizing and advancing all of the previous nakshatras before it. Okay, we have here 48, poise. So the universe wants you to be poise, graceful, grace, stance, grace. Don't fret, don't stress. Peace, zen, center. Don't react, dance, joy, have fun. So, you know, when you're running, you know, nobody wants to run like this, like making all kind of crazy faces. And then if someone takes your picture, you're like, I didn't look cute in that. What the heck? You want to look poised. So it's like, even if you're hurting, before they snap that photo, compose yourself, right? With that poise. Compose yourself. Find your composure. And what's going to help you find your composure is balance, making sure you're relaxing, being gentle with yourself, taking care of the basics. That's what's going to help you to relax. All right, let's see what else wants to come through. We have here Samaritan. So this is a really powerful lesson you're learning. You're learning that people come through, okay? When you need help, people come through. People are there to help you out. If you need help, people are always there. People always show up. Source always sends people to help you. You're learning you're not alone. You're like, oh, it's hard, but can you really feel sorry for yourself when people are constantly there helping you, assisting you a little bit at a time? So you're not alone. There's no need to feel like a victim. We feel like victims all the time, but there's no need to perpetuate the idea. So it says here, refines your capacity to help those you would prefer to ignore. So you're learning a lesson. You're learning that people support you. You know, they're not ignoring you, which is actually just opening your heart even more to believe in humanity as well and want to help others. Shadow attribute, exacting appreciation and recognition for the help you offer. Yeah, so it's not about tit for tat. It's all about, let's just help each other out just 'cause. Just 'cause it feels good. Oops. All right, so you're learning you also have the answers. See? Jupiter and Ardra and Gemini, the teacher. There's a teacher in you. This is the month of the teacher. You're going to realize you have the answers. You know what to do. You can trust yourself. You can trust yourself. You know, when Source was giving me these messages to say to people, I was like, am I doing too much? Because, you know, I believe in myself at times, but am I, like, do people need to be handheld a little bit more? Do I need to, like, spoon feed? people, I don't know, just because I see other people do it sometimes. They try to spoon feed the audience. And I'm like, should I spoon feed people more? And they're like, no, don't do it. People know what they need to do. They have the answers. It's just, are they applying the advice? And yeah, the hardest thing is just applying what we know to be true. Applying it. So you have the answers in your heart. And this is what you're learning how to access. That's the glitchy computer energy I'm getting as well, the coding. You're getting access to the insights of the universe. And Source just wants you to trust yourself. Trust yourself with what's coming through. All right, let's go ahead and close out your reading. Sagittarius, Saturn Sagittarius in 8th house. Beautiful. Yeah. So that's actually Uttara Shada as well. It's in part of Sagittarius and Capricorn. Uttara Shada. Beautiful. Yeah, so you're learning you have a warrior spirit. You have a fire. We're getting a lot of fire energies with the Samaritan, the strength, and the wands here. You have this fire in you to keep going. And it can't be put out no matter what. You have this endless, strong spirited self within you that cannot go out. You're learning it transforms you. So Saturn supposedly does very well in the 8th house because the 8th house is about transformations. And this is saying that you're actually being transformed to become more disciplined. So we wouldn't become more disciplined until we're put in situations that require us to be disciplined. And with Pluto and Uttara Shada, that's saying our transformation requires an immense amount of discipline. We will not be able to, I don't know if I want to say we will not be able to, that sounds so door closed, but it will be harder for you to successfully transform without that commitment and that discipline that you put into it. So this month is going to be a month where you acknowledge the importance of discipline being put into your routine. You're going to feel more serious. You're going to feel like putting in that work into yourself, and you're going to understand it, the importance of it. You know how, let's say you're preparing for a 10K run or something. You're taking it more seriously. You're just like, I got to keep getting up and doing this. I got to stick with it. I got to be consistent. So you might find that you have the strength, the productivity, the more of a firm mindset to believe in yourself and to stay consistent. And this is what's going to get you through the month of July so peacefully. It's just being so consistent, diligent, sincere with your routine here. And it's actually going to stabilize the reactivity here. If you're feeling it around you, whatever, it's going to stabilize that because you're going to realize that you're actually the source of your own calm. It doesn't matter what chaos is going on in the world. Can you be the calm in the chaos? And that's what Source is calling for you to be. Be the calm in the chaos. These restrictions that have been put in your life are for your own highest good so that you can transform here. Because this is going to make you, so I kept seeing it flash in my head, but I kept getting like a reference to like Oprah. It's like the level of discipline that she has to like create this huge, massive business. I'm not saying that's very the glitter, the gold lifestyle, but it's the amount of discipline. Like you think you don't have it in you, but you do. You think you don't have it in you, but you do. And you're going to see it this month, this maturity. And I have a feeling something's coming after this, okay? This discipline, there's something coming after this. Some sort of recognition is going to be coming your way for the sincerity that you put here in this month, the discipline. This is also calling for balance with emotions as well. And also doing your expansion work, doing the work to expand with that Sagittarius energy. It's like, okay, I want to continuously expand. Let's do this. Being consistent with that. What helps you to feel more expansive, with this routine? Is it certain practices or rituals? So this would be a really good month for practices and rituals that help to contribute to your expansion. All right, that's going to be the end of your reading here, group number 2. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Like, subscribe to support, and I will see you next time. Bye. Hey, group number 3, welcome to your reading. So you guys chose Labyrinth. So the first thing I saw in your image was a beetle, actually. Let me go ahead and expand this so I can see this better. Okay. Yeah, the first thing I saw in your image was a beetle. And I actually saw this beetle rocking out and jamming to music. So that beetle, I don't know if it's that specific beetle, but I know this scarab, there's like a scarab beetle that's a reference to good luck. And I have to say, like, this month has been very interesting in terms of me learning what good luck actually, not this month, but this year has been very interesting in terms of me learning what good luck was. Because Source kept saying for the collective that a lot of people will be experiencing good luck. And I was like, well, how's this matching with like the difficult stories, circumstances, and situations that's unfolding? And they basically told me you create your luck. So, even as we're going through certain situations, this is what happens. So it's like, oh no, problem seems to be showing up, and then solution, problem, solution, problem, solution. That's the good luck. So the good luck is that there's always a solution to everything. There's no dead end to anything. There's no dead end in terms of like, oh, it's not going to work out. It's more like it does work out, just not in the way that you're expecting. Here. All right, so I saw a beetle rocking out to music. So this month is going to be about those vibrations, which is why I have the word labyrinth. So the labyrinth is a reference to a part of the ear that helps us to hear. So we have here a cave, a tuning fork over the cave, and then we have ears with like these sonic waves next to it. So inside of that ear, we have a labyrinth, and the labyrinth is creating like these tunnels inside of us that helps to transfer the sound. So yeah, I've gotten multiple references to caves in multiple readings, but essentially what you're learning how to do, group number 2, is you're learning how to clear out the tunnel, clear out the junk, so that you can hear more clearly the messages Source has for you. So there's going to be messages that are coming to you, messages that will be delivered towards you. So down here I have in one image a woman who is delivering a message, and on it she has a piece of mail, an envelope, and a deer. So the deer and the deer horns, I was seeing the deer horns in my meditation, is also a reference to those neural connections. So the horns, deer is also connected to Mrigashirsha Nakshatra, which is in Gemini. This is all about learning and insight. So this is going to be a very powerful month for you to receive those learnings, receive that insight. Looks like Source has a lot of powerful messages that want to come to you this month. So I'm excited for you guys. This might come through music. It might come through just random noise. You might just hear some words in a dream. Sometimes it's weird. Sometimes I hear really loud music in my dreams, and then I wake up and it's silent. And I'm like, where was that sound coming from? And basically my brain was generating or recreating this sound, almost like I was either listening to a movie, or it's like my brain was making this music that wasn't being heard. It's kind of weird, actually. And I think there's a word for psychics hearing of the sort. But I think all of us, we hear the characters in our head when we're talking to people in our dreams. We hear their voices. Or maybe sometimes our brain says this is what they sound like and this is what they're saying, even though they're not saying anything. It's very weird. But there's definitely an inner hearing, and a Gita, like the Bhagavad Gita, is basically a song of God. A Gita is like a song of God. And so we often hear those messages from Source through song, and that's why I write songs. I started learning in 2019 that a lot of those messages I was getting were divinely inspired messages straight from Source, giving me advice about what to do, what to work on. And so that's how I'm able to speak like this repeatedly in my videos, is because I've been doing it for years. Actually, I did it way before that. I would do like writings and stuff and journal. I journaled since 2015. 2013. 2013, around that time, I started journaling, video journaling out loud, talking. And since then, I would kind of get messages, and then it became like a musical thing. The musical thing was cool because I would always ask questions. I would be like, oh, I'm so unhappy, I'm sad, and then by the end of the song, I would find the answer to it. And I was like, wow, this is great. But finding answers is nice. Applying the advice is always more challenging. But I think this will be a fun month for you to receive a lot of insights. You might feel very divinely inspired to like journal, to write things, to share things with people, to note things. But there's definitely a message that Source wants to deliver to you. And I feel like you're fine-tuning your tuning fork here. And this is what Jupiter and Ardra in Gemini gives us the opportunity to do, to fine-tune our ability to receive that wisdom, insight, and knowledge, to hear more clearly what's in those caves. Yes, yes. So yeah, there's caves in our ears, miniature caves, the labyrinth. And the labyrinth can serve as confusion, right? You might be hearing, sometimes people hear confusing messages. Sometimes people, this takes time. Look, I'm not going to get all, I feel passionate about this, but sometimes people interpret the messages from Source and Spirit in a very manipulated, like a twisted way, because they're receiving it through their filter, which is filled with trauma. So they're hearing traumatizing, hurtful messages that are not helping them to elevate or to ascend, but they're actually hearing advice that descends them. And sometimes people will say, well, God told me to do it. And people are just looking at them like, God told you to do that? Are you sure? Are you sure you didn't just filter that through me, the ear that keeps saying, it's about me. Are you sure you weren't hearing it wrong? So yeah, that takes time. It takes time. For me, it became easy because I just liked music, right? I think I was sincere in my heart, I guess. And it could also be a past life developed ability. But I would hear messages and they weren't emotional. They were just like, this is what's happening, do this and things can get better. And they were always peaceful, loving, kind messages that whatever I did, if it was truly in service of my own good, it would be in service of everyone else's good too. And those are the messages I would listen to. Okay, so we have here, message. I was getting sort of also a passive energy where I think the messages are just going to come towards you when you're in your most relaxed state. And that's how I channel, or when I receive messages in these readings, I just relax. I hear them. It flows through. It's awesome. Yeah, and I was also hearing echoes, the cave, the echoes. I think we have energetic echoes. I think that's how divinity communicates to us in energetic echoes. And sometimes we have negative echoes, like trauma echoes, that we're learning how to let go of. Yeah. So your perception is expanding. You're learning how to hear more clearly. And I think you're hollowing. I was getting this energy of hollowing out the space, right? You're clearing out that earwax. You're just clearing out whatever waste is in the way of you hearing the message clearly. And I also heard one of the advices was hear it slowly. Take your time with it. Take your time with the message. I like to sit with messages. For these readings, I like to sit with it and just kind of think about it for a while before I'm like, oh, okay, this is what I'm hearing. And then it becomes clearer and clearer and clearer the longer I sit with just 2 words. I could sit with one image and I could get a whole page of notes from just one image that Source sent to me. Okay. Yeah, and precision. You're working on your precision. Hearing that message with precision. Yeah, so we have here, for your crystal, we have here a golden jasper. Here. So this is a very grounding jasper. Let me go ahead and look at it and see what wants to come through for you guys. Okay, I'm seeing a big head. This feels like a guide or an ancestor. Very distinct. It could also be a message of her identity as well. Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting a masculine energy and it feels very self-assured and clear. I'm seeing their face quite clearly. This might be your emperor energy inside of you and your own inner authority as well. So this month, you might feel like it's a good month for you to tune into your inner authority, to feel large and in charge. Oops, sorry. Yeah, because I'm also getting a little Leo energy. Leo, large and in charge, authoritative. And I feel like if this person were to speak, they would have a very loud, booming, clear voice. So that's developing inside of you. Interesting. Yeah, so there's the face I'm kind of seeing there. Yeah, I'm hearing bird song as well. This looks like a bird, and it's singing, and its song is going all the way to the top. Or is that a person? Yeah, I'm getting another reference to like ancestral energy for this group, because I'm seeing like a spirit of sort, but it doesn't feel like a ghost. Whatever, it doesn't feel like creepy. It just feels like a I don't know, I'm just gonna say this as a theory. There could be like a specific guide that's coming through more clearly through you. You don't have to name them. That honestly doesn't matter because they're not human. They don't need to be named. But I'm seeing a very distinctive energy working with you. I was getting a masculine, but I'm getting a feminine priestess energy as well. And she's like pointing. Beautiful. Yeah, like Isis, like kind of goddess, priestess energy coming through. All right, let's go ahead and pull some cards. See what else wants to come through for you guys. Group number 3. The Sun card. Ooh, yes, my Leo energy. Golden Jasper come through. The Sun. Okay, that's definitely your own inner authority as well coming through. And there's a lot of people here, right? Family. So that's your soul family. Spirit. Yeah, we have a connection to our soul family. No matter what. There's something else that's coming through here, but I'm like, okay, I'm translating it in real time, but this feels like a very profound, unique message I haven't heard before. I just keep getting guides, guided. Like, see, there's a little girl and there's all these adults around her. King of Swords. Ooh. Strong. King of Swords, Sun. Yeah, there's that masculine energy. Yeah, we all have an inner King of Swords in us. What Kings of Swords are great at doing. I did this on my... Did I do a short about it? I might have did it somewhere else. But it was a video where I talked about swords. They're great at reaching into high states of consciousness. The collective consciousness, and just kind of knowing and they understand how people think. They understand how the collective consciousness works. They're very good at communicating these ideas to others. Group number 3, you're getting some sort of like promotion acknowledgement during this month. You know, whether it's internal or external, I don't think it really matters. But I'm seeing some sort of like promotion. It doesn't have to be literal. Okay, this channel, I don't really teach literal things on this channel. I teach energy. Okay, let me pull some more for you guys. But you guys are leveling up in your states of consciousness. Hold on. Something just fell to the side. Sorry about that. Okay. Okay, we have here Visionary. That's very King of Swords. Child Divine. Child Magical. And the Prince. Okay. Okay, so you're the Prince. I gotcha. So the Prince is the one who's in line to inherit the throne, right? So this is the son. The Prince is the son, and his father is the king, right? And so you're in Prince status. So you're in works to inherit a higher state of consciousness here with this child magical and child divine. Okay, you're inheriting. This is something you already have. You're born with this child divine, child magical. All right. This is why it's always so good, important to tune into with the Sun card, our inner child, because we're going to need that before we become serious adults. You're going to need this developed. It's always inside of you. You know, you can always tune into it, but it just gets harder sometimes because eventually you get older and you get more mature ideas and concepts for what, with this visionary, the universe has a vision. Okay, so you guys are getting access to a vision that Source is wanting you to build, be a part of, create in this world. And part of it might be, so you're definitely getting the message with this King of Swords, but part of it may be that they want you to communicate this, whether it's this month or in the future. Communicate this to others. This may be a part of your role, is like communicating these new insights to others, helping them to understand it. Because we have this presentation, right? If you're to the sea, so you're going to need to use for this month of July, which is the 7th month, 7 here, you're going to have to use your inner compass to find the way. Yeah. To the sea. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of a test. So it's almost like you're navigating yourself through the darkness, right? You can't see where you're going. But they're like, okay, we're going to give you a little bit of a test to kind of see if you can figure this out. Can you get through it? The Labyrinth. Can you get through it? This is nice. Here. Nice energy. It feels very intentional. It feels very focused, very intentional. I have an assignment, I got to get it done. So you got potential for power. So you're learning how to step into your power, embrace more power this month. Potential for power. You're going to have a taste of something. I'm hearing taste. Getting a taste. You're getting a taste for something that you're getting in the future. You're not getting the full meal yet here. You're just getting a taster because you're the child prince in training. You're getting a little taste of what they want you to step into. Confidence here. Interesting. A little test. There might be, I don't know if it's going to be an opportunity or a little something that you create, but there's something that they want you to do. I'm hearing that. It's like an assignment where they're like, we want you to do this. And we want to see if you can take it on. You can handle it. You can take it on quite well. It's going to be something, this month there's going to be something that happens in July where you have an opportunity to do something that you don't typically do, where you're going to have to step up to the plate, basically, and take it on. You know, exercise your confidence. You're going to be asked to speak in front of people. It could be a conversation you typically wouldn't have with someone where you're like, I wouldn't usually say this to them, but for some reason they need my advice or they want my advice. So I'm just going to share it with them. And I'm hearing that it's a little bit of a mini test and they're going to take it. They're going to take it. They're actually going to listen. They're going to take the advice and try to apply it. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. Let's go ahead and close out your reading here, group number 3. Scorpio, Mars, Scorpio, 8th house. Whoa, Mars, Scorpio, 8th house. Okay. Very, very strong magnetic energy. Definitely willpower is here. Very strong willpower. This is very magical energy. This is 8th house. So 8th house is about transformations, unexpected shifts, things just like up and downs and things that are happening. There might be some sort of unexpected shift happening in this month of July. And it's going to be a bit of a mini test here to see what you do. Because they want you to take action here, to do something. That's what I'm saying. They want you to like take action to do something based off of the advice. The thing is, they've been training you for this. So this is not something where you're like, oh no, what is that? So this is something that they have been training you for some time. So this is not like, oh, I have no idea what to do. This is something that you've gotten all of the messages a million times. They want to see if you've heard it clearly. Interesting. I'm also hearing like a bit of a fake out. You know how where someone gives you something, but they're like, we want to see if you'll take it or if you say no. There might be that test coming up. It's like, will you say no? Because it's actually not the right opportunity for you. Will you say no? Or it could be, will you say yes to something that follow your heart. Group number 3, that's all I'm going to say. Whatever you're being called to do, you're going to be asked to follow your heart. And it's either something you're being asked to say no to or something you're like, yes, definitely yes. But there's definitely a forward movement, forward action here, and a passion. But there's a yes. It feels like a yes. It doesn't feel like a no, whatever it is. It's like yes. You might even be given 2 choices. It's like, okay, blue pill, red pill. Which one are you going to take? Ooh, it's going to be a very obvious choice. But it's kind of a cute little test that divinity is sending your way just to see if you can handle it. Handle more responsibility is what I'm hearing. 8th house, ooh, that can be that. They're like, we want to know if you can handle more responsibility. So there's something coming your way. Hey, group number 3. So as I was saying, I feel like there's something coming your way. There's sort of a test that's coming your way where you're going to be offered a blue pill or a red pill, where divinity is going to ask you, are they going to know what to do with this? There's going to be some sort of action on your part that they're going to ask you to take on something. That's a bit of a mini test and preview for what's to come. Here. Yeah. And it's going to be a huge power move on your part. Like, you're going to feel very empowered about your choice. And it's going to feel very obvious. Your heart chakra is going to light up as far as the yes goes. And you're going to feel a very strong no about something. And it feels a little tempting as well. It's almost going to be like, we have an offer for you. And there's going to be an offer maybe that comes your way that's obviously a no. And it's full of temptations. And you're like, why would I say yes to this? But they want to know if you can handle more. So they're going to send you a little test. That's kind of fun. Really cool. Okay. Well, yeah, confidence, trust yourself, opportunity to step up to the plate, step into your power here. You guys already have this established, child magic, child divine. That's why you're going to know what to do. Because this is part of the test. The test is like, do you know how to connect with your innocence, purity, redemption, and your connection to divinity? And do you know how to see the potential of sacred beauty in all things? Yeah. Then you'll know what to do. So, yeah. Be prepared for that. Something coming your way. And this Jasper, to me, Jaspers are very grounding, right? So this is about like earthly material stuff or experiences that are unfolding in our life. This is also connected to confidence. This crystal specifically is connected to our confidence. So, yeah, there's going to be an opportunity for you to exercise what you've been learning. They're going to give you a little test. Pop quiz. Alchemy 101. Be ready for the pop quiz, group number 3. Really cool. And to me, with this King of Swords, I mean, that's telling me you guys know what to do. You know the answer. You know the right thing to do. they've been training you hard for this for some time and you're already well equipped with all of the tools you need, they won't, but they want to see what you actually do. Fascinating. All right, I hope you guys have a wonderful July. Group number 3, like, subscribe to support, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.